going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 988 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett. I hope you are all having a fantastic Friday. I am here with my co-host. Introduce yourself, please.
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Apologies for the tech issues that plagued us on Wednesday. Hopefully that's not going to be the case today. So far, we've had no issues. And I looked outside and the snow is falling once again. It's snowing in Nashville, y'all. So I really hope that doesn't last. I just wanted to update you guys that I have an early, mini review of the Melania Trump documentary from Amazon Studios. I saw it last night, and it was slightly below my expectations. I'll say that. I was hoping for more drama, I guess.
So and it was no drama at all? It's just following her around?
Well, it wasn't no drama, but it was basically following the events of the 20 days preceding the inauguration and then the inauguration day itself.
Okay.
And it was basically just like following her around, which is fine, but yeah. I'm sure not as high octane as it actually is in real life for her. Like, I don't know. I guess anything that would have been interesting about her life wouldn't have been shared in a documentary authorized by her anyway. But the beginning was the intro sequence, I think, was to Billie Jean, and it was very Brett Ratner vibes. Like, it was giving Rush Hour. And I was like, this feels like I'm watching a movie about Melania where someone else is playing Melania. And I was hoping it was going to keep to that same pace the entire time. And it didn't, but I don't regret going to see it.
Given everything we discussed yesterday on the show and you weren't here about like the supposed issues behind the scenes, it seems like that movie about the making of it would be more interesting.
Oh yeah,
the movie
for
itself.
Sure. There were some clips of her staff working together and taking calls from the media. One of them was receiving a call on behalf of Puck News. It was Matt Bellany asking about her deal with Amazon, and her staff, her like chief of staff or whatever goes like, yeah, so what's your specific request? Okay, can you just email that to me and then I'll get you in touch with the right person. And then she hangs up, and then they're like, are you actually going to get him in touch with anyone? And she was like, no. What do you mean?
That's how I imagine.
That part was funny.
That's how I imagine every professional call ends.
Yeah.
Right?
There were some laughs. There were some chuckles. But I do think it would have been better suited to a limited series on Amazon Prime rather than a theatrical release. I think a limited series would have drawn more eyes. And
it feels like that's more it feels like that's more the way things go these days anyways. Like people, the number one thing I saw people laughing at was like, it's not selling a ton of tickets. I'm like, well, who actually goes to watch documentaries in the theaters anyways, unless it's Taylor Swift concert docs?
No, yeah, the docuseries idea would have been much better for this. And you would have gotten, more bang for your buck. And I wanted to see like more details of how she like plans all these social functions and how she designs her clothes. Like, women love stuff like that. I would have loved to watch a series about stuff like that. But a lot of it was just kind of stuff we've already seen on TV from a different angle.
Yeah. We've got a 20 here from Alejandro Reyes. It says, I was about to go through the backlog of missed live and non-live content, but your stream is placed in the premium part of the day that I would be using to catch up. So yeah, you can watch us live right here. That's better than watching the backlog. Yes. You can watch the backlog any old time.
And guys, the crisis meter is working again.
Yes, we're Alejandro's has not come through yet, but we did have one from Shane, so it does look like everything is working. Thank you to Chris. Knock on wood for that continues to work. But if I had to choose between technical difficulties on the camera and audio end and technical difficulties with the crisis meter, I will take the crisis meter having a problem any day of the week. But if stuff goes wrong, I have leaned into just, Jesus, take the wheel, whatever happens. It is what it is. I cannot fix it while we are live. I can do this though, Shane. We're not experiencing technical difficulties at this moment.
I thought that was really clever.
It is.
I like that.
Thank you, Shane.
I don't know if it's going to come into use because we try to, when we do have technical difficulties, we try to pretend that we're not having technical difficulties, but that's like break glass
in case of emergency.
Option in case of emergency, for sure.
So guys, I hope you're all having a fantastic Friday, and I would ask that you please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Remember to share the episode out with everybody that you know, both whether you like the people or you dislike the people. I'm sure there's a couple of people in your friends list who you either haven't unfollowed or they haven't unfollowed you. They might like this content as well. It might be something you guys could actually come together about. So you should share it with everybody. We would appreciate it. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today. Number one, of course, being that Sydney Sweeney is now back in the news because she's released this new interview with Cosmopolitan, which really just reinforces the position that I have, that the best thing she can do is do weird stuff and then not explain why she's doing it, because it destroys the mystery of it when she gives all of these quotes and all of this stuff gets pulled, and the term MAGA Barbie, which just sprung up overnight, which I'd never heard her called before, is now suddenly some term they're using as a derogatory way to refer to her. So we're going to talk all about that interview.
If anyone is actually MAGA Barbie, would it not be Ivanka Trump?
I suppose. I mean,
that's more
it's more, that's like its own archetype of like thought influencers on Instagram. It's, conservative Barbie, 1776.
And they make less money than Sydney Sweeney and have to drop their dignity to even lower lows.
There you go. So we're going to talk about that. We are also going to talk about Joe Rogan and his refusal to submit his podcast for the Golden Globes because they had their first ever Best Chill Podcast of the Year award that ended up being all comedy stuff. And we're going to talk about that because Mary wants to get into the history of Penske Media and how it's turned award show season into a cash cow for its company.
Well, it's all fake, obviously. We all knew that.
Yeah. So we got that. Also, all of the rich celebrities in Hollywood, the ones who work on a couple of movies a year, they've got money flowing through all different sorts of markets. They want you, the poors, like us, they want us to take work off today. Don't work, don't shop, don't go to school, don't live your life because illegal immigration or something. It's called Ice Out.
If you don't go to your job at Dunkin' Donuts today, then somehow that's going to stop them from deporting illegal immigrants or something.
That's the logic.
That's the logic. That is literally the extent of it. Mm-hmm.
So we've got that. We've got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready, Mary, we can go. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Well, I hate to start this podcast off on a somber note, but we are going to do that, guys. As I'm sure a lot of you in the comments on the live show right now have posted, today, Catherine O'Hara, one of the most legendary actresses working today, many of you will have your own movie. Everybody has their own Catherine O'Hara movie. For my generation, for many of them, she was Kevin's mom in Home Alone. She has passed away after a short illness. And this story broke literally just as we were about to go live. It says Catherine O'Hara rushed to the hospital in serious condition in the early morning, hours before her death. So Catherine O'Hara was rushed to a Los Angeles hospital in serious condition where she later died, says Page 6 has learned. Paramedics were called to the Schitt's Creek star's Brentwood home at 4:48 a.m. Friday morning for a medical aid call, according to a Los Angeles Fire Department spokesperson. The patient was transported in serious condition. It is not yet clear what caused O'Hara's death, but the legendary actress died following a brief illness, according to her agency, Creative Artists. Her rep did not elaborate. However, she did suffer from a condition called situs inversus, an extremely rare condition in which all of one individual's organs appear on opposite sides of their body than a regular person. Her liver, for example, appeared on her left side and her heart on her right side. The condition is typically harmless, but can make future complications more difficult to diagnose because symptoms might appear differently in those with mirrored organs. So that's
so
something
interesting
to think about, that maybe if she had a condition, it's possible that doctors weren't able to diagnose what that condition was because they may have presented differently given her, her past.
It says 1 in every 10,000 people are diagnosed with situs inversus, more common in males for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Enrique Iglesias and Donny Osmond also live with the condition.
Says it's
not necessarily the reason why this happened. Who knows what happened, really? I guess that's not information that we necessarily are privileged to know. which
we may never know. We may never know. Like it's so one of the things is, because I watch so much old TV, by the time you rewatch a series where it feels like it was 5 years ago, but now a lot of them are like 15 years old, a lot of those actors, maybe not the leads, but you run through a series and a lot of them have passed away, and you don't always get a cause of death when it comes to something like that. This may just be kept private for the family. It says it's not clear whether the condition was linked to O'Hara's death. She is survived by her husband of 33 years. There's a good example of a marriage lasting in Hollywood, is something to talk about. Bob Welch and their two sons, Matt and Luke. She kicked her career off in 1974 in the Second City, a performance arts theater in her hometown of Toronto, Canada. She rose to fame when she took on the role of Delia Dietz in Tim Burton's The Beetlejuice. And of course, again, for my generation, I think a lot of it was Kevin's mom. But this is actually a point of discussion, because I actually posted about her, I think, when Beetlejuice was coming out, about how she'll always be, Kevin McAllister's mom to me. And they were pointing out she's been in so many things over the years that there's likely whole generations of people who have a different movie that they consider to be their Catherine O'Hara movie.
Well, the last time I saw her was in the Beetlejuice sequel, actually.
Yeah. Well, she was in The Studio, which is very popular right now, the Seth Rogen TV show.
Right.
She was in The Wild Robot. She was in The Wild Robot, which was lauded by many people, thought that was one of the best animated movies they've seen in years. I remember she was in Argylle, but I can't even remember who she played.
She was.
Oh, she was the mom. She was her mom.
Yes.
She was the mom in Argylle. So,
and that's what made me think like she just plays the best mothers in everything that she's in. She plays a great mother character, but they're all different.
She's coded that way, and like her in her presentation. Like I almost feel like that's what Catherine Hahn will be, but Catherine Hahn has such a unique look now that I don't know if she will ever be the mom that Catherine O'Hara played in movies.
No, not quite.
Maybe the wine.
When you said Catherine O'Hara earlier today, I was like, wait, Catherine Hahn?
No,
I was like,
when I was doing the intro to this topic, I was like, don't say Catherine Hahn. Don't say Catherine Hahn. Don't say Catherine Hahn.
I mean, 71 is still fairly young to pass that early. I mean, not unheard of course, but could be natural causes, but it's just
less
surprising.
less likely when it's somebody from a wealthy background where they have the money for, good health care and they can actually take care of themselves.
Right. So I don't know, maybe we'll learn more, or maybe we won't, but also I mean, after what was that? The husband and wife who died together in their home last year was Gene
I don't remember.
Wasn't it
what's his name? You're gonna have to look it up. I can't remember it off the top of my head now. They died like 6 days apart.
It was him and his wife, Gene Hackman.
We got it at the same time.
After that, and like all of the gruesome details that came out about that, I just don't even care to find out anymore. Like I just don't even want to know.
No, it ends up being like a point of morbid interest when you do that.
Yeah.
But I find it more interesting to talk about how somebody like Catherine Hahn ends up building a legacy in these industries, because she is one of those actresses. Like I said, she goes all the way back to the 70s. I was watching an episode of White Collar recently, which had it was directed and co-starring or guest starring Tim Matheson, I think he was born in 1945, so he's like 80, and his credits go back to like the 1960s to like 1964, and so like when he was like 20 years old, he was already acting in stuff that was now being credited on IMDb. And you think about what somebody like that might mean, because to me, I didn't see like some of the movies that, the movies he was most famous for until years and years later. Like I didn't see Animal House till years and years later, and it wasn't as impactful on me because I didn't grow up with it, as opposed to the stuff of his that I did see. So for her, she's kind of frozen in time to me as Kevin McAllister's mom and yelling Kevin. And we do actually he has posted about it. This was from TMZ. From Macaulay Culkin, he says, "Mama, I thought we had more. I thought we had time. I wanted more. I wanted to sit in a chair next to you. I heard you, but I had so much more to say. I love you. I'll see you later."
Aww.
And from what I understand, they maintained a close relationship, after the movie and that he had his own struggles over many years before he kind of pulled his life around, and he's obviously in a much, much better place today than he was, say, in the late 90s or even the mid 2000s when his life was kind of a mess. And they remained close to one another. And it just seems like a good example. Like, not every story in Hollywood has to be some tragic story about some bad person. Some of these people, you know, especially if you're divorced from the side of Hollywood me and you are in, which is looking at the, you know, oftentimes we're criticizing their comments or their actions. For most people, for the average normie, that's not how far it goes for them. They have good memories of these people, and that's kind of where Hollywood benefits people the most, is they create fond memories for you. Maybe it's in childhood, something like that. They don't need to be more than that.
Well, I guess the one saving grace here is that it wasn't last month. That would have put a damper on Christmas movies, right?
Yeah, around that time.
Yeah.
Are there any celebrities where, because me and you have had this discussion before about like whether it's bothered or whether it impacts you when celebrities die, and I can't say that there's ever been a celebrity where I was like, where it like affected me per se. I did, however, get into a mild fender bender. I got rear-ended by a guy. We both found out that Heath Ledger died at the same time, and he rear-ended me.
Was that why you, why the rear-ended, like why you got rear-ended? Because he was like in shock?
Yes, he heard it and wasn't paying attention. Like that's a core memory of mine.
Wild.
But in general, the death of a celebrity doesn't really affect me that way. But I do see it as something where it allows me to look back on the life they lived with a little bit more, you know, introspection.
I never felt that way for any mainstream celebrity. I only honestly felt affected by Charlie Kirk's death. I mean, and it's obviously unique for a host of other reasons.
Yes.
The hysteria that followed it and just the gruesome brutality of his death, of course. But it also definitely just made me feel more grateful for my life.
It kind of his is more, it feels like that's a sign of the internet age, and also it's connected to what you do for a living, right? The subculture that you inhabit. But the idea of a celebrity death affecting a human being feels like a product of a bygone era. Like the idea of like Michael Jackson's death affecting millions and millions of people, or a lot of people, they know where they were when JFK was assassinated, but even that's more because he was the president more than anything. I don't remember where I was when Jimmy Carter died at 100 and however old he was. But it feels like as the generations shift and people fall in line more with micro celebrities, like, are you going to remember where you were when a famous TikToker died? Like, no. I don't think anybody will. Like, no. If it's 60, 70 years from now and Mr. Beast dies at like 80 years old or 90 years old, like, I'm not going to remember where I was when, well, I'll be gone by then. But the point is the kids who are listening to him now are not going to remember maybe where they were.
Well, last year we were talking about the rule of threes when Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk Hogan died.
And Michelle Trachtenberg.
And Michelle Trachtenberg, but she was maybe a few months before that. Yeah. And we were talking about whether that rule actually plays out.
I think it was Malcolm Jamal Warner was the other one who died at that time, if I remember correctly. There was like 3 at that time.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that doesn't happen this time, but it seems like there have been a lot of notable celebrity deaths as of late.
Well, I did several while we were on Christmas break. I did the death of, what was it? There was several of them at that time. Who it was? The guy from The Mask, which I can't remember his name right now. James Ransone. There was a lot right at that time. So it's sad. All right, let's move on. I know it's depressing, guys, but it does bear repeating, and it is important news. So rest in peace, Catherine O'Hara.
R.I.P.
All right.
Yes.
Let's move on.
So Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo have now proven that you can be too creepy even for Hollywood to accept you. They have been snubbed by the Oscars voters simply because of their weird, creepy, overly close relationship as co-stars, at least according to a report from News Nation that has gotten a lot of attention on X in the last week or so. Anonymous Oscar voters told News Nation they didn't vote for Ariana Grande because her relationship with Cynthia Erivo creeped them out.
It's just too weird.
They found Erivo's constant guardianship over Ariana Grande intense and bizarre, and criticized the stars for trying to go viral with their shenanigans. We were protecting Ariana from her anxiety and Cynthia from having to intervene again.
You know what we should do? We should give both of them ownership of Pedro Pascal, who also needs help with his anxiety. And they can all hang out together.
They clearly all have it in common that they find comfort in physical touch.
Yeah.
Because they're constantly fondling each other. And the responses to this story were just outrageous.
Yep. Oh, mic cut. Mic cut. You have to go and check your microphone. Okay. We're gonna hold off on that. I'm gonna read you guys the response here for it. We are intercession maxing right now is what we are doing. That we're gonna hold on and make sure that she can get her microphone fixed. But let's go ahead and read what it says here. You good?
Am I back?
You're back.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, the picture will catch up.
I just needed to disconnect and reconnect.
All right.
Okay.
Let's restart.
So this reply said.
Go ahead.
So this reply said, this confirms that Ariana and Cynthia getting snubbed at the Oscars was due to pure racism and misogyny. If two white male actors were behaving this way, they actually would have gotten more backlash.
Yeah.
Like, I do not understand the argument for that.
Wouldn't that be misogynoir, though?
Misogynoir. Yeah, I haven't seen that word in a good, 10 years, and I hope not to.
No, I heard that word, last year.
It's gone out of fashion for the most part.
It's coming back.
And then another one said, all Cynthia Erivo did was be black and love her friend. Really?
Loving friend while black.
When your friend is opening a water bottle and you have to jump in and almost snatch it out of her hands to open it for her in front of an audience of people and thousands of people watching at home. I don't think that that's a normal thing that friends do. I don't think that normally female friends are constantly sobbing and hugging each other and trauma bonding. I don't think those are normal features of female friendship. And that's what a ton of replies to this story have said. Is oh, they just don't believe that women can actually get along.
Does it just feel like performance art?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
And honestly, if they calculated this and planned this and premeditated this whole thing as a publicity stunt, it worked, and I find it impressive.
Yeah. Well, especially when you think she had to read the quotes from Cynthia Erivo's book and hit it without it feeling like she was off the top of my head trying to remember the words.
That was by far the craziest thing that happened on the Wicked press tours, and it got kind of the least attention. Ariana Grande was in the middle of an interview for Wicked and just started verbatim quoting Cynthia Erivo's memoir from memory. And it didn't really get that much media attention compared to the other clips that went viral. No. But I think that's the best evidence we have for this being a premeditated PR stunt. But it does appear to have backfired on them. And I will just say, maybe sort of in their defense, it is just interesting that the Oscar voters find this friendship creepy, but what they don't find creepy is Josh and Benny Safdie overseeing a minor sex scene in their movie Good Time in 2017, which they've known about for 3 years at this point.
Is it possible
they haven't been blacklisted for that?
Wait, is it possible that those voters didn't know about it at the time?
I mean, these are around it? I didn't know about that story, but it has been a matter of public knowledge for about 3 years at this point. Okay. I can't imagine that people that up to date as industry insiders didn't know about that. It's just interesting what they're willing to tolerate and what they're not willing to tolerate. But in detail, in News Nation, it says Ariana Grande isn't going to get the golden statue. She may have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress for her performance in Wicked for Good, but the Oscar voters weren't impressed. They were turned off completely. One said, the movie wasn't that great. The two have amazing on-screen chemistry, but spent most of the movie apart. I was also completely turned off by their promotional performances. They creeped a lot of people out, and in their rush to feel authentic, came off as cosplaying. Now, do you think that the performance of promoting a movie should be taken into account when theoretically these awards are only given for the performance in the movie?
No,
like, is that fair?
Not. They should not be.
I mean, they could create a separate category, which I suggested when we talked about Marty Supreme.
Yeah.
You could give someone a separate Oscar, I guess, for their other secondary performance on the promotional tour for a movie. And I think that would make for some interesting headlines. But at least in theory, this is supposed to be judging the movie on its own merits. And this is the first year, I think, of the Oscars where the voters are actually required to watch the movies, which is insane to me.
I also don't think making it a category would work, because the whole point of the promotional tour being like that is to blur the lines between what is real and what is fake. The whole idea is to make you believe that they're actually this weird, when in act they're just doing what actors do, which is to act weird for a paycheck, or in this case, act weird to win an award. It destroys the mystique of it. It's kind of in the same way where kayfabe is dead in wrestling, and everybody knows that wrestling is fake, but they still try to. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't stay with their characters when they're on the like when they're online. Sometimes they break the character, sometimes they don't. It feels like there should be a reckoning in where these companies accept that once they are signed, they should spend the whole time in character. They should not be allowed to be out of character on social media. Like, you want to do that, make a private account for your family. But if you have a social, like if you sign with WWE, I don't know if they still do this, but they used to have like their name and then the letters WWE afterwards on their handle. So as long as you're working under their banner, you should always be in character.
Yeah, I would appreciate that.
And Cynthia Erivo and them should be as well, I guess.
They called the Wicked press tour a masterclass on how to go viral for the wrong reasons, as they delivered a message of codependency. They were also heavily criticized for their massive weight loss and uncomfortable appearances. During the press tour, they delivered viral moments that freaked out the internet and Oscar voters. The most talked about incident occurred during the panel when producer Mark Platt grabbed Ariana Grande's arm and shook it vigorously in excitement. She appeared startled by the interaction, holding her arm like an injured dog, which prompted... She did, actually, in the video. She was like, "Oh, I'm just a little baby and you hurt my arm." And then Cynthia Erivo was prompted to intervene and gently took Grande's arm, cradling it protectively, and appeared to kiss it or put her head on it. A response viewers found bizarre, and online critics questioned why her reaction was so intense for what seemed like a harmless moment of enthusiasm. The duo's aura reading exchange during the Paris premiere also unsettled people. When asked to describe each other's auras in colors, Ariana Grande called Erivo yellow, like sunshine, and purple, then immediately panicked, blurting out, "Not purple! Did I just say that Cynthia Erivo's aura was purple?" Accidentally referencing Erivo's starring role in The Color Purple.
Oh my gosh!
Erivo responded with equally dramatic flair, describing Grande as seal blue like aqua and sunset orange. Social media was split, with some finding it endearing, while others commented, "I can't go through this again," and accused them of trying to go viral with the same shenanigans.
It didn't work the second time around. The movie didn't do as well. They should have gone the other way and started hating each other. They should have turned it into a feud. That would have been
so much more interesting. Yeah, people said the same thing about Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi. The showmance thing is a lot less interesting than trying to make people think that you hate each other.
That's what
and that
happens.
You're just really good actors if you can manage to have chemistry on screen.
When your on-screen husband tells you that the party afterwards dress code is Victorian slutty.
Right. Ariana at the New York City premiere became visibly overwhelmed by the aggressive photographers on the red carpet, raising her hands and pleading with them to go easy. According to lip readers, she appeared to say, "If you could, my anxiety." And Cynthia Erivo rushed to her side, flagged down staff, and acted once again as her guardian. Many in the industry found Erivo's constant guardianship of Ariana increasingly intense and bizarre. Ariana later demonstrated solidarity.
Oh, lost you again. Lost your microphone. Run back through. All right. I'm going to keep reading here. Many in the industry found Erivo's constant guardianship of Grande increasingly intense and bizarre. Grande later demonstrated ultimate solidarity with Erivo, who lost her voice hours before the premiere. Grande refused to do any interviews, even though she was healthy, choosing to stand by her co-star. You good? You good?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
This keeps happening. I'm annoyed, but we're going to just work through it.
We literally did 2 hours prep on the show without any problems.
Nothing like this happened beforehand. But another anonymous voter said the movie wasn't that good, and the pair sucked the air out of any red carpet they were on. No one wanted to go through that again. We were protecting Ariana from her anxiety and Cynthia from having to intervene again. And another thing they failed to mention in this article was the guy who rushed the red carpet in Singapore, I think.
Yeah.
And he does this all the time. He's a serial offender. He is not just run up on them, but other celebrities as well.
Yep.
And I was surprised to see that because they're so tough on crime in Singapore. I would have assumed that they would like amputate his arms by now.
Yeah.
But Cynthia also in that situation rushed to defend Ariana as if she would have been able to do anything about it if this guy were truly like a danger to society.
She could have stabbed him with her nails.
There's just something like not just they kind of proved that you can like not be related but still have an incestuous relationship.
Explain that.
Like I don't know how that's scientifically possible, but Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, despite not being related by blood or marriage, somehow still had an emotionally incestuous connection with each other. And you know, I don't think
isn't that just codependency?
Yes. I don't think it's fair necessarily that would be factored into their consideration from the Oscars, but only because it's such a double standard. Like they choose favorites, and them nominating Marty Supreme for 9 separate awards with no consideration for Josh Safdie's repeated tendency hiring ex-convicts on his film sets. That apparently doesn't get you blacklisted in the industry, but like being a weirdo on a press tour does like get you blacklisted. I think that's a bogus standard, but at the same time, like maybe they should have gotten creative for the second time around. Like, I don't know. I don't think that the Oscar voters are like the ultimate moral paragons to make these, you know, decrees of like who is acceptable or not in the industry. Obviously, they think it's okay for a director to invite some 17-year-old off of Instagram to a film set and then actually have sex with a guy who just got out of prison. If you missed that segment, that was from Wednesday.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I don't think that they're like the moral compass of the industry, but it was just interesting.
Let's move on. Let's talk about the fact that I think you and I were right when we say that people don't actually want original content. What they want is slop. And the reason for that, ladies and gentlemen, is that the original content is even more annoying than the slop content.
Yeah. Yeah. So we keep telling Hollywood to stop giving us sequel slop, stop giving us derivative content, stop recycling IP, and give us some original ideas. Make movies with original stories. And then Hollywood's like, oh, you want original stories? Bet. And they come up with something like this. It's called Margot's Got Money Troubles. I'm already annoyed by the title. I don't even know how to describe this type of indie movie title. It's from A24, of course.
Which means it's an automatic no.
But, you know, it's just like that already has me on the back foot. It's starring Elle Fanning. Also on the cast are Michelle Pfeiffer, Nick Offerman, Nicole Kidman plays her mother in the movie. And it's premiering on streaming. It's going to be on Apple TV Plus on April 15th. And here is the synopsis. It follows 20-year-old Margot, who becomes pregnant by her professor and turns to OnlyFans with marketing advice from her famous pro wrestler father to support herself and her child.
It says, as the child of a Hooters waitress and an ex-pro wrestler, Margot always knows she'd have to make it on her own, so she enrolls at her local junior college, even though she can't imagine how she'll ever make a living. She still, of course, we know what's going to happen, right? She's going to have to pay off student loans, and it's going to be Morning Glory milking farm all over again. She's still figuring things out and never planned to have an affair with her English professor, and while the affair is brief, it isn't brief enough to keep her from getting pregnant. Despite everyone's advice, she decides to keep the baby, mostly out of naivete and yearning for something bigger. Yes, everyone in her life was like, you know what? Kill the baby.
No, but watch all of the pro-life activists find out about this story
and they're going to be
say
like,
that,
oh,
guys, Hollywood is shifting. They're going pro-family. Hollywood is going pro-family.
Kieran Culkin keeps knocking up his wife, and that means that we are in a renaissance in the culture.
No, I even saw recent photos of Haley Steinfeld, who is very far along in her pregnancy. She was on a red carpet showing off her baby bump. And these pro-life lobbyists and activists were posting these pictures of Haley Steinfeld being like, guys, Hollywood isn't celebrating child sacrifice anymore. Look at her. She's humanizing her baby. I'm sorry. Is this the last time that a celebrity has gotten pregnant in decades? What are you talking about?
This is the consequence of internet framing, meaning that when these influencers, and I don't even know who you're necessarily talking about posting it, but they get their marching orders on how a story is supposed to be framed. So it's literally a Rorschach test. You look at a picture of Haley Steinfeld. She's standing like a normal pregnant woman stands. And that suddenly is, if you overanalyze it enough, you can write any story you want there. And it's infuriating and stupid, but it's exactly what the right does in these situations. But to be fair, the left does it as well with their own stories. Like I saw the Krasensteins framing the Sydney Sweeney interview, to better accommodate their own view of the world. Everything is just one giant, like looking glass, and your worldview is based on whatever influencer you farmed out your political opinions to.
Right. Ugh. Well, that's a whole separate issue, but this is a story about a struggling, pregnant, single mom who turns to OnlyFans to financially support herself. And it's with the marketing advice from her genius WWE father.
Oh yeah.
And there are a bunch of stills of her in some kind of like black light strip club with glow in the dark body paint all over her body, and that's all we really know so far. There's not a trailer out yet, but there are some stills here if you have those to show on screen.
Here we go.
Not entirely sure what I'm looking at there. And then there's Elle Fanning as Margot. And then there's a photo of Nicole Kidman there in a wrestling ring.
Okay. Is that Chris Jericho? I'm pretty sure that's Chris Jericho.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It is Chris Jericho.
Okay,
yes.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and then we're like, I know we asked Hollywood for original content, but we didn't mean it like that.
Like when I meant original, like when I meant original, like I didn't mean your weird ass art house A24 slop. Look, Uncut Gems was great, but could we just leave it in 2016 or whenever that movie came out?
Yeah, so I guess our two options now are like Inside Out 4.
Okay, you know what? Do you ever notice like all of X now is like AI responses to get engagement? It says, this is from somebody on the picture of Nicole Kidman. It says, David E. Kelly's adaptation masterfully blends wrestling wisdom with OnlyFans fame, creating a bold, modern survival story for Apple TV.
I can't. I can't do this anymore.
You have to.
So those are our options.
And this is for you.
You can either watch the next Marvel movie or you can watch Margot's Got Money Troubles.
Yeah.
And that's what Hollywood has on offer for us. And on the other hand, I saw a separate announcement for a film coming out starring McKenna Grace in I think this is slated for release this year. It's actually based on a book, I believe, and the movie is called Slanted. And not sure what to make of the name meaning there. I'll explain in a second. But basically, McKenna Grace in this movie plays an Asian woman in a white woman's body who is vying to become the prom queen at her high school. So she's this Asian woman at the beginning of the movie, and she is so jealous of all the popular girls, and it's her dream to become the prom queen. But she sees that every girl who wins prom queen is white and blonde. So she goes to this company called Ethnos, which gives her a cosmetic procedure that transforms people of color into white people.
See, if this movie was made 15 years ago, the letterboxed identity politics obsessed critics would say it was just a way to tell a AAPI story while still centering it around whiteness, meaning that your studio executive would say, like, yeah, that's great and all, but we really need like a blonde white lead if we want this movie to sell.
Not AAPI. No, not that. So I said slanted because I'm like, is this about having slanted eyes?
It is.
What
it
is
has
that?
to be.
Slanted centers on Joan Huang, a desperate to fit in, insecure Chinese-American teenager who undergoes experimental transracial surgery to become white and secure her chances of being named prom queen and winning the acceptance of her peers.
If there is not, what studio is making this movie?
This is from... I'm looking now. It says Fox Entertainment.
Okay. I am begging
Tideline, the production label, launched recently by Fox Entertainment.
Okay. If they don't get a Rachel Dolezal cameo in this, they have left so much money on the table.
Yeah, seriously.
It needs one.
This is a deeply personal film that digs into your insecurities and exposes the twisted realities of fractured identity, says the filmmaker. I'm making this movie in the hopes that by exposing my wounds as a Chinese Australian woman, I can help others heal their own self-doubt.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, when the funny thing is like when I watched Wonder Man, it literally does what comic books used to do really, really well, which is like they take this actor, whereas like if we were in like the bad old days of 2018 to 2019, it would have all centered around racism, but instead he's got this unique power set that he can't control, and it's an allegory for him being different. And they talk about how he feels different from everyone because his house burns down and he doesn't feel a thing. And so the way that trauma manifests with him is that he doesn't feel like he can get close to anyone. He's kind of self-centered, but it's done as a way to show that the trauma from being a superpowered individual is what brought this on. I would rather go back to that type of allegorical storytelling than whatever this is.
Yeah, well, it's a satire movie, of course.
Yes.
I wouldn't say it's well done because a ton of woke people are offended by the story already, just based on that information, the synopsis alone. And it is true, they do feel that the Chinese protagonist is being sidelined by the white woman playing her because she's transracial in the movie. But according to Hannah Pillamer, EVP and head of creative production of Tideline, we've been longing to work with Amy Wang for quite some time and are thrilled to partner with her on Slanted, this envelope-pushing film headlined by a stellar cast of up-and-coming stars, daringly cuts to the chase on some of the most relevant and provocative issues young society faces today in a sardonic yet meaningful way.
You know, if we got rid of all of the stupid modern satire and turned it into a quasi-horror flick, they could have just gotten M. Night Shyamalan to make this.
Mm-hmm.
From the man who made Split. Slanted.
I'm not entirely sure if this is going to get a theatrical release, but the Elle Fanning film about the OnlyFans star is going straight to streaming, so it's not going to have really much of a chance. The thing is, it doesn't really matter whether you go to see an existing franchise movie or an original title.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be boundary pushing you either way. It's gonna be trying to subvert your expectations either way in an equally obnoxious way.
Yes.
And it just feels like we're at this giant buffet of slop being told that we have so many options.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't just have decision anxiety. We're just like, this is all gruel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where is the good shit? There used to be original movies that actually appealed to a mass audience. And this is not that. It's guaranteed to be a blink and you miss it nothing burger.
Yep.
Nobody is going to watch this. This is not going to have any cultural impact. And, we're being told all about how it's pushing boundaries and subverting expectations and offending all the right people. And meanwhile, this is not even going to be a conversation on social media for more than 2 hours.
Yep, it's gonna disappear from the news cycle because average people aren't gonna go see it. You know what they should go see? They should go see Shelter, starring Jason Statham, because every January needs a Jason Statham movie to come out. Watch him kill a bunch of bad guys. That's what the world needs. We need Jason Statham killing bad guys. We don't need this type of slop.
I'm
surprised she's not a sex worker. Honestly, I'm surprised the character isn't a sex worker.
Oh yeah, same. Yeah. Now, even in Euphoria, like the third season of Euphoria, every character for some reason just became a sex worker. And it's like, wow, really daring today, aren't we, Hollywood?
Yes, it's pushing. Like what?
You're saying all of the characters are prostitutes now?
What would be the actual subverting version of that? Like, not the opposite of this. It'd be like they went and joined the convent.
I guess. I don't know. I'm waiting to find out.
Given that Marty Supreme was as popular as it was, what's going to be worse is we were just talking before the show about the guy who climbed the building. They're going to make some type of character study on him. Or
Alex Honnold.
Yeah, or a guy like him.
Yeah, we were talking about the Free Solo guy because that was a huge stream on Netflix over the weekend, him scaling the skyscraper and a lot of ethical debates around that. That's a conversation for a different day.
All right.
But I'd be more interested in a movie about him than whatever the fuck we just read.
Well, they did make a movie a couple of years ago with Joseph Gordon-Levitt about the guy who walked across the two towers on the tightrope. I forget what it was called.
Yeah.
I never saw
I
it.
forget his name.
Yeah. All right. Guys, let's move on. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see the cringe first.
Also, we should begin intercession maxing again to make sure that everything stays okay for the rest of the show. Here we go. It says, imagine friends talking about you like this in your true crime documentary.
Was very tall, taller even than the boys. She towered over everyone. She carried a little bit more weight.
She had freckles on her face. She was very pale. She was not super impressive to look at. I don't know if that's kind of rude to say, but
what the fuck? She was not super impressive to look at?
Says who?
So she just wasn't a looker.
She was never as thick as she thought she was, but of course, if you're not stick thin, especially back when we were kids, you might as well be a house.
Like, that woman is going to come back to haunt all of them
absolutely.
in the afterlife.
Oh my goodness.
Sick.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? With friends like that, who needs enemies? M. Bartolo gave us a cue of the day. It says, little Theo likes to sleep, hide, and watch football.
Aww.
He is hiding.
Love cat who found its favorite box.
Oh, hands up.
Very cute.
Aww.
Is that like a little ice cream truck or
looks
or
like
what is that?
like a little Airstream trailer.
Van life.
Van life.
Cat. Love that.
And he's watching. He's standing straight up watching football. The only time I can get Toast or any of the cats to do that at our house is when I hold food for them and then give it to them. So that's a very happy kitty. All right, let's move on. We've got more stuff to get into today. Also, guys, we are very close to a crisis party, and it's actually working again. So let's get there.
Great. So, guys, Sydney Sweeney, she really did it this time. She just was on the cover of Cosmopolitan for their Valentine's love issue. And it's giving straight Y2K vibes. It's very Pamela Anderson. She's channeling that energy. And I almost have to appreciate how they hit the mark with this, despite the fact that many people are enraged already just at the cover without having read the story or the interview. She's here on the cover, grabbing her tits and smiling at the camera. Keep it simple, stupid. That's how you sell the magazine. And in the cover, it says, Sydney Sweeney, I can't make everyone love me. Which is just an incredible way to lead the story.
It's an admission.
And someone who is not even a fan of hers responded saying, not gonna lie, I aesthetically appreciate how effing insane this cover is.
Yeah.
Like, they really just went for it. They did not care at all who this was.
Welcome back 2002.
Yeah, seriously. It's very, it's a pastiche of the early 2000s or the late 90s. And someone also responded saying, I'm fascinated by the thought process behind this. Cosmo clearly wants its target group to be MAGA women now. But do they appreciate poses and cleavage like that on other women? What are we doing here?
Is there anything in one single photo that you can deconstruct to now know Cosmopolitan's motives and who their target demo? Which, by the way, it's not MAGA women.
See, this is why nothing is interesting anymore, because everything has to be picked apart like this and analyzed to death. One reply also said, Sydney Sweeney, there are two things. Either you make a proper porno or you calm the F down. So those were the reactions just to the cover image. But the excerpts that started circulating from their full interview in Cosmo got way more reactions. Cosmo interviewed her about her new lingerie line, which I thought was called CERN. It's not.
We both did. I was like,
Siren.
It's a psyop for. We're gonna find out later that she was literally the one who turned on the Large Hadron Collider, and she's actually the one that ruined us in 2016.
It's SYRN, and it's pronounced siren, guys. Just in case you weren't aware.
Couldn't there have just been another Y? SYRYN?
Nope. And it's already a contentious business plan, given that she got, what, $1 billion cash infusion from Jeff Bezos himself. And he's not anyone's favorite person.
Going to that wedding was a good business opportunity for her.
Yeah, they did, of course, have to rehash all of the events that followed the American Eagle campaign last year and ask her once again to explain her political beliefs or lack thereof. And here is what she had to say. She said, no, I am not a political person. I'm in the arts. I'm not here to speak on politics. That's not an area I've ever even imagined getting into. It's not why I became who I am. I became an actor because I like to tell stories, and I don't believe in hate in any form. I believe we should all love each other and have respect and understanding for one another. So it's kind of like how the media was constantly harassing Shawn Mendes about his sexual orientation for years. And then eventually he just said, well, this is just something that I would like to, keep to myself and go on my own personal journey, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone just translates that into an admission that he's gay.
Yeah.
Everyone just translated what Sydney Sweeney said in this interview into, I'm a Republican, get over it. Which is not necessarily what she intended to say.
No, not at all.
Everyone is going to interpret it anyway.
Yeah.
So here were some of the responses to that comment. One said, her new lingerie line received $1 billion cash infusion from Jeff Bezos and Michael Dell, but I'm sure it has nothing to do with Sydney's politics and everything to do with her being an artist. Another one said, art is inherently political. Not recognizing that disqualifies you from engaging with it in a meaningful way. There is no such thing as being neutral. That's just living in conformity and ignorance.
So that is a long-held discussion point from plenty of people in the political space. It's a tactic. It's a bullying tactic to force you into their political paradigm. It's one you can reject soundly and actually laugh at them for their inability to understand the human condition, because it's a trait of an activist to throw that in your face. And the same thing people were saying in this, were saying like, oh, it's because she's privileged enough to not have to think about politics or not have to worry about politics.
That's the usual refrain, is that the only reason you're not politically outspoken is because you're not part of the oppressed class. Mm-hmm. And there's really no falsifying that claim. But in another part of the interview, they asked her, why not correct it if it's not true? Where is the line for you regarding all of these misconceptions about her being the so-called MAGA Barbie? Mm-hmm. And she said, I haven't figured it out. I'm not a hateful person. If I say that's not true, they'll come at me like, you're just saying that to look better. There's no winning. There's never any winning. I just have to continue being who I am because I know who I am. I can't make everyone love me. I know what I stand for.
She's right. And the number one thing that people on the internet, like Odessa Azion or whatever her name is, like turning down this role because some people got mad at her and called her a racist for taking work away from a Latino or a Hispanic actor, excuse me, or a I guess it wasn't. It was like they wanted a Mexican actress specifically. Her inability to understand that she's not a bad person and she just took a movie role is what is ultimately going to put her out of work. And for a lot of people, it's never enough. They were still mad at her. There were some people, people on X who kind of had the same perspective that I did, albeit in a much more annoying fashion, at least in my opinion, where they're like, oh yeah, you have all this hate for her, but none for the producers or the writers or the directors who hired her, which is actually a fair point. You should be more annoyed at the directors or the writers or the casting agents or the person in charge of the project who hired her. She's just got to make a paycheck. She's got to make her money, and that's her job. And if she was a little more self-assured, she could have had that paycheck, but she wasn't willing to do that.
Right. This Cosmo interview in its entirety is really a roller coaster of a read. If any of you are looking to laugh today, you should go pursue it in its entirety. But I just wanted to read some of it. It says, Sydney Sweeney created this moment, but does it belong to her? The actor is selling underwear, not ideology. At least that's the plan. On the heels of box office hits and misses, a buzzy lingerie launch, and a divisive year in the spotlight, the 28-year-old sits down with Cosmo to talk about what it means to keep choosing visibility in 2026.
I don't know what any of that means.
Just slop. Sydney Sweeney arrived at her shoot armed with lingerie and conviction. She was ready to pose nearly naked in Siren, her new line of intimate apparel, exposing both her Hollywood idealized body and her business acumen. In any other year, with any other star, it'd be par for the celebrity course. In 2026, with Sydney Sweeney, it's a Rorschach test. If you ask her, which we did, the images you're looking at are about control. She's creating a moment she can own in something she designed, asserting with lace what she hasn't yet with language.
Everything is a fucking book report. Everything is a fucking book report with the worst, most flowery language. See, the problem is because of the internet now, we see so much more in the form of written text, and this is actually something you never really experienced. I grew up not having to live like this because we didn't spend all our time writing out our thoughts and trying to be more eloquent than we actually are.
Yeah, it's an incredibly faux intellectual piece. Of course, she's also freely, volunteering to share her thoughts here. So the chips fall where they may. But she said, this can be how I communicate to my audience. Ugh. I want to show women that we can take back our power and fully free ourselves. But when a body becomes a message, it's often others deciding what it means. Putting something like this out there right now into a fractured digital landscape, eager to spar with itself, is a provocative proposition, especially for Sydney, who spent 2025 becoming arguably the most polarizing star in America. Still, she says she needs people to see her in her lingerie and understand this. I want Siren to stand for the power of choice.
It is very early 2000s feminism.
She's channeling not just the look of 2000s girl power, but also the ideology, which is basically second coming into third wave feminism. Everything is about choice. Everything is about sexual liberation. And it's just a very two-dimensional way of looking at the world. She's also, of course, implying that women's power was taken away from them by saying that it needs to be reclaimed and recaptured. Although I feel she is probably unequipped to really answer for what that means. She said, the piece continues, it's Sydney's choice to lay herself bare, and it's your choice whether or not to buy it. Until recently, her image was featured in lighter cultural conversations. They're talking about Euphoria. They're talking about Anyone But You. And her marketing genius was praised after they leaned into dating rumors off screen. And then they get to the American Eagle jeans campaign and say that she was exposed as a registered Republican. Yet the Sydney Sweeney machine kept moving. Her thriller, The Housemaid, recouped its entire budget in days and secured a sequel. She continued promoting her box office triumphs alike, while articles like Sydney Sweeney was a star on the rise, what happened, flooded the internet, and her image became increasingly linked to MAGA despite her never once endorsing it.
Well, that's the Rorschach test part of her personality, which is she's actually doing herself a disservice by giving this interview, because she gains more cultural ground by just doing things and then letting whatever right-wing or left-wing influencer on the internet wants to make of it, letting them be her own promotional tool that she doesn't have to pay them a penny for.
Her silence is far more powerful than her whatever it is that she has to say in an interview.
Correct.
They say her brand bisected. To some, she was a Hollywood hero, a crusader against woke outrage and overreach. To others, she stood for a system that rewards silence from those least harmed by it. Was her choosing not to comment a principled refusal to perform politics, or a cosign? Was she declining to play the outrage game, or had she mastered it? And what did she actually think of the politics being projected onto her, politics that strip rights from people who do not look like her?
By the way,
no one really knew.
This is an example of that. It says, her politics are clear. I want them all deported. And obviously that is likely not true.
No.
But it's what this person means, what the golden mask means, is they want them all deported, and she is their avatar to see that happen. Right.
No one really knew, and in the absence of something more concrete to glom onto, people looked at Sydney and filled in the blanks for themselves. Her December statement against divisiveness, the one that all of the conservatives were mad about, that she apologized for being perceived as hateful, they were largely dismissed by the internet as giving too little clarity too late. So when you explain yourself, it's a lose-lose situation. No one is going to take your apology at face value, and the people who championed you for thank you
guys, you scared the crap out of me.
Thank you guys.
I am sorry.
And,
I am sorry to whoever is upstairs. That scared the crap out of me.
All of the MAGA people who assumed that she was on their side also kicked her to the curb when they thought that she, turned against them.
I didn't see that. I mean, I saw it mostly get kind of ignored. Like, some people were like, it's kind of vague. I didn't honestly see a whole lot of people say that. Like, I saw somebody being like, she's done. And I'm like, all she has to do is release one more marketing campaign and she'll be right back to where she was.
No, it was forgotten very quickly.
Yeah.
And in speaking to her now, it's clear that she understands the internet hungers for sound bites, an endorsement, a disavowal, an ideological line. It's her choice, she says, not to feed this craving with words. She says now, those aren't my values, referring to the controversy of 2025, but I feel like I've never needed to correct people who don't know who I am. And that's what we have been remarking upon in regard to Sydney Sweeney repeatedly, is that she's this rare breed of human who doesn't care when she's misunderstood. Most people out there, famous or not, don't want to be misunderstood. And I'm sure she doesn't want to be misunderstood either, but she's this rare type of person who just is okay with it and just lets it slide and doesn't feel the need to explain it away or clarify or clear the record.
Yep.
She's just fine with letting people believe whatever they want to believe about her. And it does make her, as a consequence, into a canvas for whatever it is you want to believe.
Yep.
And they get into some of these misconceptions about her and why she thinks people criticize her so much. And she partly thinks it's because of the roles that she plays. She referred to her character in Euphoria, Cassie. She said, I play a lot of characters that make questionable decisions, or it's complicated to like them. People project some of that onto me, but that was scratching the surface of what I'm dealing with now. People creating their own narratives that serve their purposes, their headlines, their clickbait. There are millions of people who have access to social media and can dictate a narrative about who you are. I've seen so many things that have gone viral that are so fabricated about me. People believe it, and there is no correcting them. So I don't think it's possible, sadly.
So this, like, the top comment on the Cosmo post about this on X says, "You control the narrative by speaking up. Otherwise, others will do it for you." They're just baiting you, dude. They're just baiting you to give them what they want.
And the whole interview, by the way, was bait on the part of the journalist, and it was. I'm sure if it was captured on video, it would go viral in the same way that the GQ interview did, but it's in writing, so it's not able to get farmed for as much engagement. This starts out when they're talking about the lingerie line, and they're asking her if she prioritizes the male gaze or the female gaze. And they're asking her if she cares about representing different body types that aren't just white cis women. And she's not giving them the answers that they're looking for. And
well, she did say that it was like, this is for everyone. Like this, my new line is for everyone.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. She's trying to be as inclusive as possible. I do question, like, why is it a lingerie line that she went with? Because, of course, it has to be marketed towards women. And, of course, that's not the majority of her dedicated fan base. And I'm wondering how that's going to play out for her. It would have been more lucrative, I think, if she went with an alcohol brand, which is something a lot of celebrities do.
I mean, they said they said that the first line of this like sold out in hours. Now I know that that's obviously sometimes that's just a headline that they put together. Kind of becomes one of those things like when publishers buy their own books to make it onto the New York Times. So I don't know whether it's actually true, but
like that.
But the jeans did sell out. Like, and we waited to talk about it. Like, we waited to see whether it was going to do the numbers that they did. But the jeans clearly moved, and those are jeans for women. So clearly there is a female market for it. If the American Eagle sales went as well as they did, there's no reason to believe that this wouldn't.
Yeah, I just don't know what to make of headlines like that, because I mean, every product launch is choreographed to sell out. So I don't know if that's even true.
They made 25 and she bought all 25 herself and said, they're sold out.
But they asked her if she could ask the internet to retire one narrative about her forever, what would it be? And she said that I'm a hateful person. Like, she doesn't want people to think that she is this villain, but at the same time, she is accepted that there's no way to control how people perceive you. And she has completely surrendered that control over to the collective court of public opinion.
That's probably,
and that's something that not a lot of people are able to do. So that is in itself quite impressive. And then, you know, this is just a random part of the interview that stood out to me. They asked her to tell them what is the perfect partner for her. Like, what is your ideal guy? And she described him despite being in a public relationship, by the way, with Scooter Braun. Here's how she described her perfect man. Athletic, outgoing, and funny. I'm a sporty girl, so someone needs to be able to climb a mountain with me, go skydiving with me, and someone who loves their family.
Okay. It's very
but just failed to mention having like $1 billion media empire there, but that's for later, you know.
At least she didn't hit him with the he needs to be able to make me laugh.
Right. Well, outgoing and funny is definitely implying that much.
Okay. All right, let's, we're not going to do Super Chats. Let's move on. Let's talk about Joe Rogan, because we are now finding out why he did not get nominated for that first ever podcast award at the Golden Globes, because people were wondering why it was a bunch of comedy podcasts and not the apparent king of podcasts.
Right. So the Golden Globes introduced this brand new category to kind of include new media for podcasts, and it only featured the usual suspects. The nominees were as follows: Armchair Expert with Dax Shepard, Call Her Daddy with Alex Cooper, The Mel Robbins Podcast, Smartless by Jason Bateman, and Up First by NPR, and the winner being Good Hang with Amy Poehler. So all of the legacy media people who started a podcast were nominated. None of the new media people with actually interesting and popular shows were in the lineup, including Joe Rogan, who you would think is, of course, the winner based on being the most successful podcast. But he told everyone why he wasn't nominated, and it's because he was not going to submit the submission fee of $500 to be considered.
What if you could have asked
Understandably
Spotify?
so.
What if you could have asked Spotify to front him the money?
I mean, they probably could have, but it was a matter of principle for him.
Yep.
He told his audience about this on his show on Thursday, saying that he didn't want to be part of that. A lot of people say, why wasn't Joe Rogan nominated for the Golden Globes? Why did Amy Poehler win? I didn't submit. They asked me to submit to be nominated, and you had to pay $500, and the $500 is for like paperwork or whatever. I said no. And he said about Poehler's podcast, I'm sure it's good. It won. I'm sure someone must love it. If it sucked, they would give it to someone else, right? I just know that Amy Poehler won, and a lot of people are upset. She's had this podcast for 6 months and she won. Great. You gave it to a famous person, which, you know, in that world, that's what they do. I just know that I didn't submit. I don't want to be part of that. I don't care. You're just a group of people that decide all of a sudden that you're going to give an award out. I get a trophy. F off. So that was his comment about the Golden Globes, and it felt appropriate to flip the bird at legacy media. That's what the Golden Globes is for. And just the broadcast of the Golden Globes itself has been plummeting in ratings for a long time now. But I think it's self-evident to most people that all of these award shows, not just the Golden Globes, are pay to play. And it's totally fake and staged anyway. And the submission fee for podcasts being $500 pales in comparison to the amount of spending that Hollywood studios have to engage in just for consideration at the Golden Globes. And I looked into this further and found out that Jay Penske is the owner of the Golden Globes experience, as well as literally everything else.
Every trade magazine that you read, he owns. Yep.
He is the Nepo son of automotive industry billionaire Roger Penske. You've obviously seen the Penske trucks. And he decided to make a name for himself in LA by slowly but surely buying up all of these different entertainment properties. And it includes Billboard, Variety, WWD, Art in America, The Hollywood Reporter, the Billboard charts themselves, and also the Golden Globes, the Country Music Awards, Rolling Stone, the American Music Awards, New Year's Rockin' Eve, South by Southwest Festival, Billboard Music Awards, IndieWire. He has like the smaller publications as well. Deadline, of course, the Streamy Awards even.
You just can't get away.
Vox Media as well. He has a controlling stake in New York Magazine, The Verge, Vulture, Vox, The Intelligencer, The Cut, Polygon, and the list just goes on and on. And nobody even knows who this guy is. I, at least, didn't know who Jay Penske was until recently. So I decided to look into him a little further. There is a profile on him in the New York Times from several years back titled, "You Don't Know Much About Jay Penske, and He's Fine with That." A quiet Hollywood power broker with a famous name goes on a buying spree that has given him Rolling Stone, South by Southwest, and a private island. What more does he want? And they say in the first line, for media executive Jay Penske, award season is money season. It's the time of year when Disney and Netflix, along with other studios and streamers, demonstrate their love for the talent by spending millions on for your consideration ads in Variety, The Hollywood Reporter, and Deadline, as well as niche outlets, Gold Derby, IndieWire, and TV Line. All of those publications, which cover things of special interest to Oscar and Emmy voters, are part of the Penske Media Corporation. And it's because over the years, the past like 15 or so years, he's just been slowly buying up these struggling publications that needed the help, certainly, in the new media landscape. And it was relatively cheap to buy them all up and then use their establishment reputation to leverage for all of these pay-to-play relationships in the Hollywood media ecosystem. So
also, guys, just before she continues, if you're ever wondering why 20 to 25 years ago it felt like magazines had distinct voices and personalities, and now it feels like reading the cover of Rolling Stone is the same thing as reading the cover of any other magazine, this is why. Because it's a through line as far as editorial goes. It's a through line the whole way, and that's a problem because there's no unique voices anymore.
Yeah, I think the only one that comes across to me as unique anymore is Dazed. But I don't even know what the parent company of Dazed is.
Yeah.
Like, who knows? Maybe it's also owned by one of these conglomerates. But
what's the other big one? Valnet is like the other big one that owns a bunch of the publications.
Yeah, I don't remember which one owned like Jezebel, Mary Sue, and Kotaku. But yeah, this is true of a lot of different publications. And then in late 2024, it was reported by Matt Bellany at Puck News, which is an independent publication, that Jay Penske was basically pimping out Variety, the publication, for intimate curated dinners between studios and the association formerly known as the Hollywood Foreign Press. And they say for a low six-figure price, studios get a panel conversation with talent and a dining experience with the voters of the Golden Globes. So you are essentially just paying for a nomination and ultimately for a win. This comes from an installation of What I'm Hearing, which is Matt Bellany's Puck newsletter. Mm-hmm. And it says, Variety is now pimping for the Globes. Remember when the sale of the Golden Globes to Todd Boehly and Jay Penske was supposed to clean up an organization so corrupt and tone-deaf that publicists were compelled to organize a boycott? Penske's Variety is now pitching studios on a series of intimate curated dinners with the association, the Hollywood Foreign Press. For six figures, you get to bring the contending talent for an upscale dining experience with a guest list of 30 to 40 Golden Globes voters, according to the pitch deck being forwarded amongst outraged marketers. It's all in collaboration with the Golden Globes, meaning that Variety, ostensibly a news organization, is pimping out its corporate sibling for money. Definitely something that the trades would cover if Penske didn't own them all. Selling access is all part of the new Golden Globes, which in the name of reform has merely been corporatized. It's the same semi-corrupt, crass, profiteering enterprise, just supersized and benefiting two super rich guys instead of a group of journalists. Last year, the Globes initiated submission fees, and this year they're charging, this was back in 2024, $5,000+ per project administration fees to put films and shows on the viewing portal, plus $2,000 per film and $350 per episode of a TV show as a submission fee, and more for individual submissions. Outlets have been told that if they pay to upload more than 14 titles, they'll get preferred display treatment on the viewing portal.
Everything is monetizable.
Yes, the assumption is that larger companies such as Netflix and Disney will pay up, while smaller outlets are ghettoized.
It's also
other
funny.
awards bodies.
It's funny if you think about it. You remember last year when Sinners was coming out, and everybody was like, "Why is Variety like making Sinners look bad by like dunking on its opening weekend?" Somebody's like, "Deadline would never do that." Oh, just it's the same thing.
It's just Variety in a different font.
We've got
it's the same damn thing.
It's like literally I could like click on either of them. I choose Variety because it's easier to read the actual website. Pop Culture Junkie says Penske is the media mogul that you've never heard of. Interesting background. His first business was a wireless company that developed the Firefly mobile phone for children.
Yes, the one with the big buttons.
Ah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I vaguely remember that.
Okay.
I never had one.
Continue.
And now the Globes charge $2,000 plus $90 handling fee per ticket to the show. And while last year they gave out 4 tickets for each nominated film and series and 2 tickets for each nominee, good luck predicting where you'll sit. Kieran Culkin was placed at a different table from the rest of the cast of Succession. Top executives were seated in Siberia. They were in the nosebleeds. People freaked out, but what are they going to do? 2 awards marketers I spoke with said they'd probably cut their advertising spend with Penske outlets as a form of protest. They could boycott the Globes, but now that the show has shaken the publicist boycott and will air on CBS, it's still a decent promotional vehicle for awards movies. Most likely, the studios and streamers will complain and then capitulate, at least until the new Globes aim even lower next year, which was actually last year. So there have been 2 more Golden Globes since this newsletter was published, and it's still true that it's pay to play. In fact, just last month, this is, of course, not verified by any sources, but a rumor went around that Sydney Sweeney allegedly hooked up with Jay Penske to get a nomination at the Golden Globes for 2025, but he pulled out at the last minute.
Get it? The video about her life is going to be, the movie about her life is going to be way more interesting than any movie she's ever been in. I also noticed in the article about Jay Penske was a whole column on Tatiana Siegel, who is one of the big writers over there.
And she's one of his biggest defenders.
Yeah.
Interestingly. Yeah. And do you remember vaguely how we were covering this weird rivalry between authors at Deadline and Variety like a year or 2 ago? I was like, what is this even about? You're owned by the same parent company.
Yep.
It's all so bizarre, but I guess this is just the stuff that is below the surface. It's not what most people consume when they're, reading about entertainment news. Yeah. So it's kind of under the radar. But I mean, I think we all knew just by our gut instinct that the Golden Globes, as well as every other award show, is basically fake anyway.
Yep, they all are.
Joe Rogan just noticed that by his own gut instinct. Good for him.
All right, guys, we have talked a lot in the last week about the celebrity response, the Hollywood response in general to what is going on with ICE right now. Obviously, this all kicked off with what happened in Minnesota. And the celebrities, they are not letting up because they want you, the poors, you and I, they want us to stay home. Don't work, don't go to school, don't go shopping.
Yeah.
You be poor to help immigrants.
Ariana Grande has a genius idea of how to stop those evil ICE officers from deporting our BFFs, the illegal Somali migrants. And it's by skipping work today. Today, actually, January 30th, 2026, is the official nationwide shutdown. Ariana posted this on her Instagram story. It's ICE out. Nationwide shutdown. No work, no school, no shopping. You have to sign on to join the national shutdown. And I found this post. We need to spread this shutdown as far and wide as possible. Go to nationalshutdown.us to endorse the shutdown happening on January 30th. The only way for us to get justice for Alex Preddy, Renee Good, and the countless people murdered by ICE is for the shutdown to go national. So all this means is that if you're already unemployed and a NEET, no education, employment, or training, you're just going to do the same thing on Friday, January 30th that you do every day, which is sit on your couch and doom scroll and complain about the world.
I was going to say, like, them skipping work is definitely not going to be a problem.
Like, being an activist is the easiest thing ever now. You literally just don't go to work, and that means that you're morally superior to everyone else. That rules.
I will say that it should not be dismissed how much more organized they are on the left than on the right. Just by the very nature of right-wing politics being hyper-individualist. Maybe not as much these days. It seems like everybody's playing for a specific team and they all want their team to win. But in general, I think right-wing ideology is far more in favor of the individual, whereas they want the collective, which is why something happens and 20 minutes later there's 5 tables set up with juice and cookies and food and signs pre-printed. It's amazing. How does it all get done? Websites put up in no time at all. And they use these celebrities as their bullhorns. Now they may not win elections anymore the way that they did in the past, perhaps, but they definitely do get the word out for things like this.
Let's check, what is Ariana Grande's net worth?
I think somebody said 200 to 250 million.
Yeah, so a celebrity with a net worth of about $250 million is going to tell us, the peasants, that we should skip work today to protest ICE, because that totally makes a difference in the world.
There would have been a hilarious bit that we could have done where, like, I just don't do the show today, and like Tim calls and is like, what the hell? And you're just like, ice out, bro.
It's the national shutdown, dude.
What was I supposed to do?
What were we supposed to do? Ariana posted about it and I had to follow marching orders.
John Leguizamo said I can't watch his movies anymore if I support ICE, so I had to stay home from work today.
This website says, enough is enough. The people of the Twin Cities have shown the way for the whole country. To stop ICE's reign of terror, we need to shut it down. On January 30th, join a nationwide day of no school, no work, and no shopping. The last part is going to be the hardest for women out there, because women be shopping. The entire country is shocked and outraged by the brutal killings of Alex Pretty, Renee Good, Silverio Villegas Gonzalez, Keith Porter Jr. by federal agents. Haven't heard of the third or fourth one there. While Trump and other right-wing politicians are slandering them as terrorists, the video evidence makes it clear beyond all doubt they were gunned down in broad daylight for exercising First Amendment rights to protest mass deportation. Every day.
Somebody pointed out, like, I think it was Raymond on X, was like, would it somehow be less bad if it happened at night? They're like, it happened in broad daylight. Like, would these things be less bad if it happened at night, or does that somehow make it? Yeah,
like what's the difference, really? Yeah.
Continue.
But you get the point. You know, these are people who don't have any obligations or responsibilities anyway. Both their unemployed stans and the celebrities themselves. They have zero concept of the responsibilities that normal people face in their daily lives, hence why they would post something that out of touch. And that includes, by the way, also the cast and crew of Grey's Anatomy.
Do these below-the-line workers, if these below-the-line workers are hourly, they're just like, you've got to be fucking kidding me, bro.
No, the crew members are on board with
I know, it's crazy.
Which is insane. Sources close to Grey's Anatomy confirmed to Variety that crew members are working on the medical drama planned to not show up today, January 30th, to support the nationwide anti-ICE protests, prompting producers to postpone production for the day. Filming will pick back up on Saturday for season 22 of the long-running series. So they were some of the people participating in the nationwide shutdown.
Let's be fair. The audience for Grey's Anatomy is aging awfuls. So this is right in line with their ideology.
Makes perfect
I wouldn't be surprised if they do an episode about ice, how those at the hospital can't ice out because they got to go to work.
But I'm just like, again, like, how is not going to work or not going to school or even not shopping today going to make a dent in the funding for ICE, which was already given to them in the federal funding bill?
Well, there's more funding on the table right now, right? Like, that's something that's up right now.
Well, that's true. But again, what does buying coffee today have to do with that? Like, can anyone explain that to me?
I like the idea that one of these company owners is like, well, I was gonna fund ICE, but then I noticed this blip in the data, and now I'm not going to.
You know, I'm going to go to Ariana Grande's beauty brand's website right now. Looks like all of the products are still available today. The website is still active, and I can spend as much money as I want on, the Essential Drip Glossy Balm and further line her pockets. So I'm a little confused. I thought that she was going to shut down the website because of the shutdown. She's working right now. Her passive income is still moving. Yep. So I don't know. I'm sensing some inconsistencies here. There were also tons of celebrities, both at the Golden Globes and at the Sundance Festival, wearing these special pins on their lapels that say "Ice Out" to really make their stance clear, including Natalie Portman and Olivia Wilde. Olivia Wilde just looks like death right now.
What if we could get like a sponsorship for the government from Icy? Like ICE agents get a free Icy anywhere they go.
Yeah, that would be cool if we could federally mandate that.
Olivia Wilde, she's like those ugly glasses were doing a lot of the heavy lifting in that one clip. It was mostly the glasses.
Yeah, but it also includes Ariana Grande, Zoe Deutsch, Matt Damon, Mark Ruffalo, Wanda Sykes, Natasha Lyonne. And they're all reading from the same script.
Yeah, and then we had, as I mentioned yesterday, guys, we had Lady Gaga speaking about the horrors of immigration enforcement in Japan, which is one of the most notoriously strict immigration hubs in the world, as they're not even fans of outsiders coming to visit a lot of the time because of their, they would prefer the world be as cordial as they are, apparently, and Americans just don't seem to be that. But they are very strict when it comes to their visa program and who gets to stay,
And if Westerners are going to start a moral outrage campaign over immigration enforcement in Japan, they shouldn't even waste their breath because they don't care. They do not care. They want to live in a peaceful, clean, polite society, something that I guess we aren't entitled to anymore.
It was like when Maddie Healy did kissed a band member and got everybody in trouble.
That was in
or something.
Yeah, I think it was in Malaysia. He was protesting their criminal enforcement against homosexuality, and then ended up getting the whole festival shut down and all of the talent that traveled out there on their own dime to perform there.
Yeah. What if
there's the consequences?
If there was real consequences to this, what if there was two awfuls at one job, one awful with more disposable income and another one living paycheck to paycheck, and then the business gets shut down because nobody comes to work? Then your fellow awful can't pay her bills.
I can't even describe how fatigued I am with all of this discourse. I honestly wouldn't care so much if we actually were getting mass deportations, but now that it's confirmed that they're withdrawing ICE from Minneapolis over just this amount of pushback, it's just why are we getting all of the costs of immigration enforcement with none of the benefits? I'm just so over it. I'm so tired of it. I would like to at least get the deportation numbers up if we have to suffer through all of this inanity, but we don't even get that.
Nope.
So
that was
it's as I predicted. It's as I predicted, and I stand by that.
In a lot of ways, I don't think they're even trying to. If they were, they'd be going after factory farms and large scale deportations like that, but they're not. So
no, and there was never an intention to implement mass deportations. That's what people voted for. But every time that Trump was interviewed about his policy plans prior to the election and prior to the inauguration, he did kind of slip in there that they're only planning to get rid of the illegals who have a criminal rap sheet. And that's not even scratching the surface of the 10 to 20 million that came in while he was out of office.
I mean, it's not even just that. There's the fact that they could be removing the ability to get welfare benefits and birthright citizenship, which shouldn't be a thing. Like, there's a lot that could be done that they're
like at the very least, like make a difference that doesn't get immediately vaporized as soon as a Democrat gets in office after you.
I mean, but the thing is as we've talked about, at least on IRL plenty of times, is like each side treats the other as a it's like a pressure release valve. You get 8 years of a Republican, and then you get your Democrat release valve for their side, and then, you know, vice versa. So the point isn't to change, to make drastic change. The point is to let off the gas just enough to to get the public to acquiesce to what you want, and then you just keep going back and forth, back and forth.
This is why I say nothing ever happens.
Yep. Nothing ever changes.
I feel vindicated. I feel vindicated in that.
All right, let's do some super chats then. We do have super chats to get to here. So let me go back up to the... You got them up there?
Yes, I finally have the super chats available here.
They're back.
Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Friday, Brett and Mary. As promised, I posted a technical difficulties. Please stand by slate for y'all. Hopefully you rarely have to use it."
Hold, please. Okay, we're back.
So you guys can't hear us when that screen is up. So we could have just said anything just now. You have no idea.
I used slurs.
Thank you for that, Shane. Much appreciated. He added here, "You guys are very welcome. It also gave me a break from working on my March for Life mini doc, which is looking to be half an hour long when finished."
All right.
That's exciting. Good luck with that.
I was telling people the other day about how my one experience at March for Life, I saw Seamus being literally the Michael Jackson of... It was like walking around with Michael Jackson.
It is incredible how much facial recognition he has, given that he runs a political cartoon channel that he's not on. Like, that's impressive.
Let's do some Rumble rants before I don't want these to disappear. Broody Gambit says, "I am hunkering down for the next snowstorm. Luckily, I've got plans to play a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles board game from IDW. I hope you all have a safe and warm weekend." Broody Gambit, if you are still in the chat, which I hope you are, I don't know if you got a chance to see this, but I'm going to put this link up in here. There was this test footage of a Raphael video that's absolutely fantastic. It's brutal. It's Raphael destroying a bunch of Foot Clan soldiers that this guy made himself, and it's really, really effing good. I don't know if it would get us copyrighted, so I don't want to play it and get us in trouble. But it's freaking awesome, and I recommend everyone go and watch this because it was great. I was gonna make a video about it, but I didn't want to have the guy copyright claim me. But he did great work on it.
Man Bear Cow TV said, "It impacted me pretty heavy when Charlie Kirk died." Yeah, I think that a lot of people who were more politically engaged felt that way, but it also made us realize that that Charlie Kirk had more cultural relevance than we realized.
Yes, people I didn't imagine knew who he was definitely knew who he was.
Yeah. Katie Sensitive Hearts 25 said, "Hi, Brett and Mary. I saw the new film Sing Song Blue with Hugh Jackman, and I loved it. Had drama and romance and a musical."
I'm not a fan of the musical part, but...
I've never even heard of this. Song Sung Blue, the biographical musical drama directed by Craig Brewer. Okay. I haven't seen anything about this. It hasn't been marketed that well, I guess. Shane H. Wilder said, "The only one that hit me hard was Charlie Kirk. Alice Cooper might get me in the future, as I discovered him as a teen, decades after he was relevant, and he has been the soundtrack to my life ever since."
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any celebrity. I mean, when you asked me about it before, I did say I might feel some type of way if Justin Bieber died, but then I thought about it and I was like, well, then I would only feel that way if he died young, if he
I was gonna ask that. I was gonna ask that
in an ordinary,
if
he died in a very ordinary way, maybe I wouldn't feel anything about it, but hopefully that doesn't happen. Although it's more common than it should be for people who grew up in the spotlight.
I guess I just
Robert Delera.
I can't think of any of them that would make me feel that that way specifically.
Well, did you feel some type of way about Hulk Hogan, or?
I mean, I wasn't I wasn't a big Hulk Hogan fan growing up, so but it was shocking, I guess, but not really, because wrestlers die young. That's and he wasn't even young. He actually made it pretty far. A lot, it's going to happen less and less in the new era because they're not living on steroids and cocaine the way they used to. But in general, you're kind of always prepared to hear that a wrestler died.
Robert Delara said, "Hell has frozen over. I am actually going to defend Ariana Grande. If the performance was worthy of a nomination, then she should have received it. Let the performance stand on its own." Yeah, I agree with that in principle, but I don't know if the Oscars have ever really been based purely on the merits of the performance. It's always down to relationships, and that's why they have all of these luncheons and private audiences and ad pushes that are, they spend tens of millions of dollars on these things at the studios. So it's never entirely organic.
Broody Gambit over on Rumble says, "Probably the most public laughter I've ever generated. My mom was checking all the kids in my family on a plane and being loud. I yelled out Kevin, and most of the erupted in laughter." I'm assuming most of the plane erupted in laughter.
That's funny.
There you go.
Pat the Plumber said, "Get your gosh darn ish together, Mayor."
Well, nothing happened after the second, mic out. But the mic out is like way better to have happen than, the Wi-Fi issue. Knock on wood.
And I promise it is impossible to predict and impossible to control as far as I know. So I apologize, but it is what it is. The snow did stop though, which I'm happy about.
Guys, we're like halfway, a little bit over halfway to a second crisis party. Let's get there. Just, why? Because it's Friday and we're not icing out today. I'm asking you to spend money. I'm asking you to spend money today. I'm asking you to rebel against ice out and spend money on us.
Like, weirdly, did we get more super chats when the crisis meter was broken, or
no, not necessarily.
Maybe not. Cleggy said, "In the cast of Wicked's defense, the second act of the show is significantly weaker than the first. No, I am not beating the theater kid allegations." Well, if that's your thing, you do you. I am judging, but it shouldn't stop you. Shane H. Wilder said, "Saints Gabriel the Archangel and Maximilian Kolbe ora pro nobis for the audio issues." Thank you for that. We are, of course, intercession maxing.
I'm always so glad you're here when the Latin comes up.
Ora pro nobis, that's a beginner's phrase.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
Well, they're all beginners. Like, it doesn't matter. They're all expert level for me.
Although I did spend, I can't even count, maybe 12 years learning Latin in school, and I still know very little of it. That's my fault. Corey Anderson said, "Mary, what is it like being a temporarily embarrassed millionaire?"
What does that mean? I feel like I saw that the other day. Did somebody say that to you the other day? What are they talking about? I'm so
no, I sort of half jokingly called myself a temporarily embarrassed millionaire in a video that I posted on Instagram the other day.
Okay.
In reference to me attending an opera, because I kind of just felt like I was LARPing a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I've never been to an opera, and that's not my thing. I don't have a breadth of knowledge about opera.
When you told me about that, I'm like, oh, fancy.
Yeah, that's it feels contrived is all I'm saying. But the saying goes that all Americans, because of our class mobility and our work ethic, our Protestant work ethic, we are all temporarily embarrassed millionaires. Oh. And that's how we approach class differences in this country, is that we all feel like we can break through to the upper crust.
Well, that's where
it's unique to our country.
That's where the ongoing battle between capitalism and communism comes from, is because most Americans, outside of the most self-hating and jealous of people still they don't like the idea of hindering somebody's upward mobility, even if they've already made it to the top, which is why when somebody says, why doesn't Elon just like solve world hunger and like give everybody $1 billion, he could give everybody in the world $1 billion and still have billions left over. The reason people don't like that is because they don't like the idea that you get to dictate how somebody else spends their wealth, however they made it.
Mm-hmm. Although I do feel differently about it when it's someone like Elon. I'm never going to consider him American.
Well, Jeff Bezos, that's the other example. They're like, Jeff Bezos could be Batman. Why doesn't he just be Batman? I don't know how liquid assets work.
He could give us all Subway sandwiches.
I mean, I'd be down for that.
Me too. MPow123 said, SLOP is all Hollywood makes with politics and intersectionalism at the core. What wins? Great white sharks killing swimmers and a veteran war story. Is that referencing something in particular that came out?
Well, I mean, Jaws
but not like recently. No. That all sounds like, old Hollywood slop. But yeah. Robert Delara.
Go ahead.
Robert Delara said, Mary and Brett, Margot's got money troubles sounds worse than slop. Might have to be in a new category that's worse than slop. How about raw sewage? I mean, it's art slop is what we like to call it. When it comes from a studio like A24, you know what you're in for. It's art slop.
Corporate slop bowl of entertainment.
Oh, and especially if it premieres on Apple TV. That's like where the art slop goes to die. Alejandro Reyes said, just saw those friends talking about their passed away friend, incredibly based.
The doc
what is that?
From the Cringe?
Oh, from the true crime documentary? Is that based? I don't know if that's based. I wouldn't like that very much if my friends talked about me like that.
I would love if there was because the other day with the Odessa stuff, I said I give preemptive permission to race swap me in whatever way you see fit. When they make the Tubi movie about me, they can race swap me. I can be anybody. I said they just have to have good hair. It's that's my only qualification. It can be a woman for all I care. They're gonna gender swap me too. But like if they were to make the true crime documentary about me, like I couldn't wait to hear them be like, yeah, God, and his voice was so fucking annoying. 5 minutes after Brett started talking, I had a migraine. Like I'm okay with that.
I want Chris Rock to play you in the biopic.
I'm okay with that.
And then when he does Chris Rock impressions, he's just gonna be him.
Chris Rock, yeah.
Yeah. Robert Delara said, Sydney Sweeney is a registered Republican. That's all anyone knows. She doesn't want to talk about politics. People just need to move on from this subject. Well, they're not mentally capable of doing that, unfortunately. I just think like her being a Republican might as well be just the least interesting thing about her, actually. I would like it to not be the focus of conversation.
Somebody says in the chat, Latino Brett. Yes, that's okay. If John Leguizamo wants to play me in a movie, John Leguizamo is free to play me. Somebody says Idris Elba Brett. Yes, absolutely.
That would be
then
awesome.
I can be taller. That'd be fantastic.
Man Bear Cow TV said, I want to really, really, really want to zig a zig ah. So true.
So true.
So true.
Go off.
Go off, King. Easy E said, neutrality doesn't really work when the left will roll their ankles sprinting to call being hot and normal as right-wing coded. So you think that Sydney Sweeney's approach isn't going to serve her well?
I mean, this is what's going on right now. It's like Sydney Sweeney can be the female microcosm of what's going on with libertarians right now with immigration and everybody talking about, your inability to wield power assures that power will one day be used against you. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe she's just a Dave Smith listening libertarian. Maybe that's what it is.
It would just be fine if she could just come right out and say, like, yes, people found that a certain Sydney Sweeney was registered as a Republican in Florida. Yes, that's me. But I don't really want to talk about why I'm a Republican, so I would like to move on. Like, I think that would be refreshing too. You know, she doesn't have to totally skirt the issue. Pop Culture Junkie said, oh, we read this earlier about the Firefly phones. There was like a fake version of that in, I think, Diary of a Wimpy Kid when he gets like a ladybug phone. It was funny. Moon at Noon said it was a rose emoji to Mary Morgan from Secret Admirer. So there.
I guess you're the secret admirer, though, because you sent the.
Well, that's
the chat.
It's not much of a secret, is it? Shane H. Wilder said, I was asked if I wanted to be in the Emmy nomination for coverage of the Texas Snowmageddon. They wanted $500, and I was like, nah, I'm good. Do they? I mean, I guess most people are so desperate for that kind of recognition that they actually do comply with the submission fees. But that's kind of outrageous to ask from working class people.
Yep.
Like, I get it when you're asking Disney for $5,000, like, what is it to them?
Yeah.
But normal people shouldn't be expected to do that.
And then you have to, like, raise funds like you're a politician, like small donations from tons of regular people.
That's just super gay. Pop Culture Junkie said President Trump awarded Penske the Presidential Medal of Freedom in October 2019. By the way, he has supported both Democratic and Republican candidates.
Look, that's the thing, though. Like, we are starting to learn again after the haze of 2016 through 2020 that a lot of these media moguls, they're like a bad storm. They're indiscriminate. They'll kill everybody. It doesn't matter. Like, Tim Cook will go visit Trump and then go to the Melania premiere, even though he's a gay man who runs Apple, because he's a businessman first. Most of them are businessmen first. There's a reason Ted Sarandos, they don't care about anything in particular. Their goal is to make money. They might support Democrats in general, but it doesn't mean they're not going to suck up to Republicans if it means that they can grow their business.
I was confused for a second there. It's not Jay Penske who got the Medal of Freedom. It's his father.
His dad.
And he got it in the previous Trump administration. But if I had to guess, I bet Jay Penske voted Trump, judging by the amount of tech moguls and media people that were around at the inauguration. I failed to mention earlier, by the way, just because we didn't have time for it, that Jay Penske was arrested in 2012. Did you read anything about this, Brett?
No, what happened?
Okay. He got arrested in Nantucket, outside of the Nantucket Yacht Club, while he was with his brother urinating in the parking lot. They were urinating in the parking lot. A woman came up to them and I guess interrupted their urination. And then Jay Penske turned around and continued urinating onto her shoes. And then she alerted the police, and then they went on a chase as both Penske brothers were running away, trying to flee arrest. Of course, they were both caught at the time. And you can still find Jay Penske's mugshots online. Mm-hmm. And I heard an allegation that he bought up Variety so that they wouldn't publish his mugshots, but they still breached containment. It's just a funny story.
I wonder if that got him on like one of the sex offender lists.
It doesn't sound like a sex offense, but I mean, maybe indecent exposure. I'm not really sure what the charge was.
Yeah.
Disorderly conduct. I don't know. But also, he came under fire for buying out the property of a historically Black church and then planning to remodel it into a mansion. And there were protests outside. He ended up selling off the property anyway.
Okay.
But people were also mad at him for that. I didn't really understand why that was controversial.
Yeah.
But whatever. Shane H. Wilder said it should be... Oh, thank you. Thank you for the second party.
Hopefully it cycles back through. It did that thing at the end there where it like played a little bit of the beginning again. So hopefully we get through it and just a little bit. We'll
Are we safe?
We're gonna wait and see here. We got to get through the last of the cycles. We have to wait and see. Yep, we're good.
Yay!
All right.
Wow, feels like everything's working again. Shane H. Wilder said, it should be easy. They have no jobs and their EBT cards won't reload until next month.
That's true.
Yeah, it turns out nobody starved to death back in November.
Nope.
Dingus Khan of Gongolia said, I'm pro giving Minnesota to Canada as long as I have time to move to a better state. I mean, I just heard about basically the same thing going on in Maine where you would not expect it to be happening.
Yeah.
Same exact fraud schemes going on there. But unfortunately, there is not going to be a crackdown. And, you know, we had this perfect opportunity as well for a crackdown on leftist violence back in September.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even the assassination attempt against Trump prior to the election seems to me to be reason enough. But then you had it doubled down and then you had September 10th happen. And yet we still have these people organizing on Signal and engaging in leftist violence in the streets, and they're not facing any consequences for it.
It's
so
a
I'm just
losing war too, because depending on where you get your news, you don't know that the Signal chats exist, and they poison the well every time, and they say that the kid who shot Charlie Kirk was actually right wing. No, actually his parents were just conservatives. It was Israel, or actually it was the LDS church. Like, it was the LDS church and Israel together.
Yeah, and the beekeepers.
And that's the thing, so the well has been poisoned. Nothing matters. Nothing's true because everything's fake. And not in the sense that everything's actually fake, but you've been poisoned by so many narratives and so much information by self-serving people who do so to make a buck that it doesn't matter anymore. I really do believe we live in a functionally post-truth society. Not to say that truth isn't important, so don't say that in the chat. Truth obviously matters, but you live in a different world from everybody else you know, and that's just there's no changing that as long as the phone is in our pockets.
Yeah. Well, needless to say, I'm profoundly disappointed with a year into this administration, but not like anybody asked. No Control said, Mary is spot on. Trump only talked about the bad hombres. The rest of the right just assumed it was a dog whistle for all illegals. Yes, this is what I find so frustrating. They kind of Sydney Sweeney'd Trump.
Oh no, they've done this a ton since he took off. Yes, absolutely.
Just project whatever you want Trump to be onto Trump, and just like believe that if that's your security blanket, right?
They did the same thing when it came to Doge, which was a great theory, but I was like, he spent incredible amounts of money in his first term. He did not reduce the debt. That was never going to happen.
And now, like, I don't even know what this is. He just yesterday was like, we need to make housing more expensive. Like, what are you talking about, bro? I could not be more disappointed. This whole administration is just a big fart. Burned Oils said, retiring ICE from, I think you mean Minnesota, I don't know, letting demented people win. Yes, it is. It is letting them win.
Somebody in the
that's
chat,
what's happening.
No in the chat said, Brett making sure not to piss off their boss. Mary and Brett making sure not to piss off their boss, not what they actually believe.
Like what?
In relation to
what are we not supposedly not supposed to say?
I haven't watched an episode of IRL in ages, and I have no idea what people are saying. So
also, I highly doubt that Tim tunes in.
That would be hilarious, though. He's like, he sends us a message.
Whatever.
He's like, you're gonna have to pare back that language,
right? Burned Oils, or no, this is $9.99 from Blood Based with no message. Thank you for that. Mike 500 said, this is for the Sween segment. That is all. Oh, and more dogs, please and thank you. Good day.
So Kloonberg in the chat says Trump. He says he's saying, but I'm assuming he means Trump is saying. He's saying housing prices for current owners shouldn't depreciate for the benefit of lower prices for new homeowners.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go on.
Corey Anderson said, I learned yesterday that according to the Quran, Muhammad was a pale white guy. I find this hilarious. Is that true?
Say it again.
That Muhammad was white. I don't know. I've never heard that before. That's news to me. Burned Oils said, Mary, it's great that you stand by your opinions despite the horde of people trying to emotionally manipulate you into thinking just like them. Strong of you. Well, thank you very much. I am just a truth warrior.
Oh my God. That's another one of those phrases. Warrior for truth. Oh, fucking God. I'm sorry.
I
apologize.
Nothing you could say. No propaganda video you could show me to make me feel bad for Alex Pretty. There is just nothing you could. And I'm not saying that to dehumanize him. Like, human life has inherent value, and like, he should be alive right now. But I think, people who care about him should have stopped him from going out on the streets and instigating fights with law enforcement while armed if they cared about his life. Shane H. Wilder said, Mary, make Brett try this one. Oh, okay. This one is for you, Brett.
I'm not doing it. I looked at it. I'm
not
taking a crack at it.
I don't know if I could even do this flawlessly, but let me try.
Go for it.
Cruxsacra sit mihi lux, nunquam Draco sit mihi dux. I don't even know what that means because I didn't pay enough attention in Latin class, but I tried my best. High Voltage 75 said Kristen Stewart to the list of celebs who are threatening to leave the country. She said she's going to make movies in Europe and shove them down the throat of the American people. Thoughts?
I meant to include that.
That is wild.
So we did a segment on Tuesday. I think it comes out on the weekend. We did a segment on Tuesday about her saying that female actresses are treated like shit compared to male actors. And being a director was the first time she felt like people valued her opinion. And then, of course, the other additional article was that she was like, yeah, I'm going to go make movies in Europe because it's not safe to make movies here.
Meaning what? Safe?
Yeah. Whatever that means.
Like the FBI is going to break down the door of the soundstage.
Yep.
And smoke bomb all of you. Okay, whatever. Shane H. Wilder said, random fact, temporarily embarrassed millionaire was coined in 1960 by John Steinbeck's article, A Primer on the 30s in Esquire magazine.
Okay.
Interesting. I didn't know that. Well, maybe I'll go read that and find out the context.
Wow.
Well-spoken token. Can we please stop calling Sydney Sweeney a master marketer? She just has insane knockers.
No, that's an undersell of her job, and I don't think that that's accurate. She's very, very good at, first of all, she actually is so good at marketing that she manages to do so in spite of the projects that she chooses, which run contrary to her public image. So she can make a movie like Christie, which has no sex appeal whatsoever. It's ostensibly a stupid art movie for stupid art nerds. And yet her brand sells sex and, I guess, male attention, and the idea that you're allowed to look to the public to sell to both men and women now. Whether that's the jeans or Dunkin' Donuts or whatever the other one that it was, she sells the old idea of the male gaze where men were allowed to look to men, which gets them to click and give her eyeballs. Whether that actually translates to money, I don't know. But then she sells her art nerd persona to the people who like A24 movies. Arguably, that one works less well as time goes on. And she sells products like, lingerie and jeans, and she sells controversy without really having to try.
Yeah, I don't think that just her body explains it, because there are plenty of other actresses that have massive tits, and they're not as much of a cultural touch point. So it takes more than just tits.
Yep. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many think pieces written about her.
Yeah. Receptive Skeptic said, Mary, did you lose power at all during the storm? No, I did not, thankfully. I was one of the fortunate few.
There's a chat here from a guy named Bretsky the Great, which is a fantastic username.
Another Brett.
Yes. Well, he spells it with one T, but we'll forgive him for that. You're falling for the propaganda. Trump cannot fix everything that Obama and Biden did in 1 year. Give the guy his term to get things done. Holy crap, things can't get done. I think he means in seconds. Actually, I agree with you to a fact that not everything is going to get done that fast. And the problem is that the news cycle is no longer 24 hours. It's instantaneous, which means one issue feels like it's a lifetime. Like how many lifetimes ago does Doge feel like? Compared to the current immigration issue, compared to Iran and the bunker busters and all of this stuff. One instance happens and there's an instantaneous flood of endless articles and think pieces and people with opinions on these things. So the term is going to feel like a lifetime. And I think that having reasonable expectations about what he was going to do based on his past track record is the best way to keep yourself from being blackpilled on all of this stuff. So he was in a lot of ways hamstrung and ineffectual with the border wall in his first term. Granted, he still had those first 2 years to do something. I think they had a supermajority in the first 2 years. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong there. So I don't like when people are like, he's not slashing the budget. I was like, I never expected him to slash the budget. I never expected him to fix the deficit. And in general, that's a way to keep from being blackpilled about it. But I think that the news cycle, the speed of the news cycle is what does that for a lot of people. It feels like a lifetime when really it's only been X amount of time.
Okay. About the pace of media coverage and sensationalism and outrage, yes, I understood. But it's not really a question of doing things fast enough. It's just a question of doing it at all. And when you're withdrawing ICE from Minneapolis, you're doing nothing at all. You're not just doing things slowly, you're doing nothing. But what I cannot countenance is that before the election, I was repeatedly saying, we are not going to get mass deportation. Stop saying that. And everybody around me was like, no, we're going to get mass deportation. We're good. And they were just lying both to themselves and everyone else, ceaselessly, thoughtlessly, with blind faith. And not only that, every time this administration has made a mistake or a miscalculation for the past year, every single time one of those was called out, the loyalists were like, no, you just have to trust the plan. This is all part of his 5D chess, whatever. No, you're gaslighting me and yourself. Just surrender yourself to the truth. Accept the truth that this administration had no plans of delivering on its promises. Like, not even for a second.
But if they're saying that, like, his comments before were literally about, like, deportations of illegals that had, extensive criminal records first, as they said earlier, bad hombres, he's delivering on the promise. People they imprinted their own idea of what that meant, and now are upset that he's not meeting the standard that they set for him, not the standard he set with his campaign.
But take into account that with all of these stupid TikTok hype edits of ICE raids, trying to propagate the idea that we're getting mass deportations because they know that was the popular mandate. And they want to just make us get all excited and riled up thinking that we're getting what we voted for when we're not.
And that's a problem where, like, people keep talking about the losing of the PR war. Like, you've lost the PR war on both sides now. You're losing the PR war with the backlash in Minneapolis with any of the moderates or the, I guess, like a shitlib who might have voted for you, or the people in the middle. And you've lost it with the right by over-promising and then not delivering with the TikTok edits that were going on during the government shutdown.
Yeah, and now we're back in an election year, and the Republicans are going to bitch out. So it's the story that's been told 1,000 times. Not that Jon Stewart said, I'm at work and have to pause, so I'm an hour behind. Have a good weekend. I saw Mercy in theater and thought it was okay. Would recommend definitely catch on streaming.
But that's literally the functional definition of a January movie. Just okay, catch it on streaming.
Yeah.
That's literally the point of a January movie.
It's not as good of a recommendation as if you told us to go see it in theaters. Shane H. Wilder said the Latin is the opening of the exorcism prayer on the St. Benedict medal. May the Holy Cross be my light. May the dragon never be my guide. Interesting. I like that. I'm going to go look that up. Alejandro Reyes said, I couldn't type the message I wanted about ICE needing to step up their work for some reason. They are too soft currently. I agree with you there. Maybe YouTube is flagging certain terms related to what's going on right now.
I haven't been following it as closely, which is why I'm, my opinions are more based on the campaign promises because that's the stuff that I remember. But from what I understand, there are operations going on in other states that aren't receiving the same pushback because they don't have, red state, or I'm sorry, they don't have blue state governors that are preventing the police from helping. Right? Like one of the big issues was the fact that they were not being given assistance by Minneapolis police, right? Which they were supposed to help with for crowd control and making sure the public doesn't get there. So these problems aren't happening in Texas and other states. So they're being handcuffed by local politicians.
Yes. However, what the base has been repeating over and over is invoke the Insurrection Act, invoke the Insurrection Act,
We won't ever do it.
Act. And you have the means and every reason to do so, and you just won't do it, Trump.
And it speaks to what that he's, but it's also, if you were to go on his track record, so the logic people had in 2020 as to why he didn't get the National Guard involved during the riots was that he had a second term to win and he couldn't appear like he was an aggressor because he had another election to win and he didn't want that to hurt his chances at winning in 2020. Fine, whatever. You can buy whether that's accurate or not, but the same lack of action would be said here that he's not doing as much as he could and he doesn't have a second term to worry about. So I mean, you can make the argument you can make the argument that it could hurt midterms, but then in that case you're always against that same clock. And
it's self-defeating. And that's what everyone said, around this time last year. They were like, he's going into his second term. He's got nothing to lose. All bets are off. It's going to be full on like Trumpler. And they were just creaming their jeans over it. And I was like, you people are delusional. We'll find out eventually.
Man Bear Cow TV says, I think they skipped my Alex Honnold tweet. Was there a super chat about Alex Honnold?
I don't think I saw one.
I thought I saw one earlier. Let me go. You can keep reading. I'm going to see if I can.
Sorry.
I can see if I can find it.
Corey Anderson said, bet Mary has bad morning breath. Not everyone can be close to perfect. It's like that scene in Mean Girls where they're like talking about everything that they're insecure about to like, I don't know, like girls do that where they complain about their insecurities together to commiserate. And like one of them is like, my nail beds suck.
Man Bear Cow TV said, pretty sure I know how Alex Honnold's going to die.
Not necessarily. I guess if he keeps going into old age, he might actually fall to his death.
I mean, I saw pro-life Spider-Man talk about Alex Honnold like he's like one of the best to do it in that world. So
I thought it was weird that he made some comment about how, now that he has children, he doesn't feel like his children would be traumatized if he fell to his death. And I'm like, that's just a very selfish thing to say. Robert Delara said, ICE is being neutered. They will be calling it slush. Some humor to go into the weekend.
Lol.
Yeah.
We are almost to a third crisis party. Let's get it before we get to the weekend, guys.
Yes. I was going to make a joke earlier about like the lingerie line, Sydney Sweeney's lingerie line, like launching around Valentine's Day. Like what would happen if a guy got his girlfriend a gift card to Sydney Sweeney's lingerie brand for Valentine's Day?
Yeah.
Like, how long would he stay in the doghouse for that?
Well, it's like, did you see the skits that were coming out? Because there was all this news coming out about Abella Danger, the adult film star, being shown on TV during a football game. And there was all these skits on Instagram where like the game's on and a guy goes, "Oh, I know her." And then the girlfriend turns to him and goes, "Who is it?" And he's like,
Nobody. No, I had it. I was confused.
Or something like.
Yeah.
I don't know.
High Voltage 75 said, as of now, it looks like episode 1000 will fall on Tuesday, the 17th. Since episode 500 was 5 hours long, let's make episode 1000 10 hours. Let's go.
I mean, if I can get a bathroom break and a snack and some chips,
I will die. I will die. If we go, that we're not doing a 10-hour episode. We'll do something special, but we are not going to do a 10-hour episode. I'm not going to fall to the same indignities as like Clavicular by becoming an IRL streamer. Alejandro Reyes said, my opinion isn't based on campaign promises or success elsewhere. It is based on reasonableness and sanity. These protesters need consequences. Yeah, they do. Everyone who marched into that church in Minnesota should be behind bars right now, but we're not serious. So they're walking free. And only the 2 women who organized it are going to get a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, Don Lemon was arrested. It's not going to lead to anything, at least not in my opinion.
It's just bullshit. Wait, Don Lemon was arrested? I thought it was the activists.
Don Lemon was arrested today.
Today?
Yes.
Oh shit, I missed that.
Yes.
Well, okay, we'll see what happens, but it's probably, again, a slap on the wrist. Shane H. Wilder said, I have a Benedict medal. It is the only holy medal that has to be exercised when it is blessed. The full prayer on it is powerful.
Wow.
I'll be looking that up later. Thank you for telling me.
Man Bear Cow TV says, Brett can go 10 hours rotating co-hosts. Thank you for volunteering me for that. I appreciate that. I got you.
He just already has so much faith in you.
Yeah.
That you can make it. Yeah, as for me though, I think 5 hours was definitely pushing it. Like that's got to be my max.
Guys, we are very close. Like, look, how are we supposed to protest the protest of ICE if we're not going to get 3 crisis parties? Come on.
Yeah, guys. Yeah. What are you participating in the national shutdown today?
That's what it seems like, guys. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. If you are new here, we have got a lot of new subscribers lately, so if this is your first time watching the show, either live or on replay, I want to thank you guys for joining us. We hope you will stick around because we have a lot of fun making this podcast, and seeing new people find it is very, very cool, so thank you so much. Mary, where can they find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived. And help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived.
We have one more here from Chief Corey Anderson. Says, I have faith in you, Mary.
I don't, but thanks.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Should be doing the outro, the NPR outro to get the 3rd crisis party. But ladies and gentlemen, okay, guys, if you would like to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch this podcast, you can also rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is a fantastic way to help this channel grow further. Thank you so much for that. And if you would like to follow Pop Culture Crisis on social media, we are on Twix at popculture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. We have one more super chat here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, have a great weekend. Prayers no one gets snowed in. Well, let's hope that is
not
true for
again.
Everybody. We don't want everybody to get snowed in. Everybody be safe this weekend. Have a fantastic time. And we will be back with another episode of PCC on Monday. We'll see y'all then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.